I got something to say. Today has just been incredible. Do you know there's so many amazing, wonderful people in the world? Of course you know that. You're one of them. This next young lady coming on the show, I met her a few years ago, Deborah Johnson, at Heroic Public Speaking, a course in New Jersey. I think that's where we took it. New Hope, was it? Lambertville? No, Lambertville. That's where it was. There she is.
Hi.
Hi, honey.
It's so good to see you.
Easy. Wasn't that great?
This is great. I've been on a lot of live videos. I've never done Instagram live, so I just want to make sure I was good on the tech. So I'm real happy this is happening. That's great. So
I love first, Deborah, and new things. So I was telling how we met. And has it been 2 years since Heroic Public Speaking?
It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but I think it has, yes.
Oh, how have you not been on my show before?
I don't know. Life is busy.
Well, you have a lot going on, and you have your own show. But before we get into all that, let me just tell them a teeny little bit of everything you've accomplished along your journey. Deborah, up for multiple GRAMMY Awards, and spending over 20 years in the entertainment industry. I mean, like, I keep saying that, and I'm like, holy freaking moly. Like, that's just so much. I've built multiple self-driven businesses and is an expert on how to constantly reinvent yourself in a gig economy. Working mainly with those, not that I know anyone, at mid-career and half-time of life. A creative powerhouse, yes indeed. She has released multiple books, albums, hundreds of songs, who knew? Hundreds of podcast episodes. I did not know this, 3 musical. Deborah speaks and performs for both live and virtual events. But I get her first on Instagram. Yay!
There's always a first, and I'm always up for it, but I just, I'm so in tune to making sure tech works. So I don't want to mess anybody else up. So
can't happen. All right, Deborah, you picked the one statement for women and men that are listening around the world.
Right.
The foundation of your purpose lies within strong foundational values. Tell us why that is so important to you.
I think it's really important because it takes you through all of the seasons of your life. And, my values have been kind of consistent, but the wording of them changes. And now at this point, some of those values, what I really value, one of the things that I'm really valuing right now is time with my husband. We've been married over 40 years. And so, and that's a story in itself because we met on a blind date and here we are. But, I want to travel with him more at this point in my life and not just for work. So I have to redo some of my schedule, put some of more of my work online. And that's part of my values that influences like what my purpose is in creating content. So it all works together that way. And in my, the latest book I did was called Stop Circling. And it was actually kind of the message that you heard, Sandy, was the one that we were at our our course, which was such fun. It was just so much fun. And I remember those walks that we had together, and you always wore funky shoes. So that's what I always remember about you. Very fun, very fun. But it was all on getting out of a roundabout. And I found that message just resonated with people. But I wrote in the appendix a whole section on core values. And because I felt like it was so important, I came up with a nice little chart. It's in the book. But it's really important to go through. There's, I put it in 2 sections, which one is faith, and what do you believe in? And another is character. So it has the character, the qualities there of what we really base our values on. And that really does influence your purpose. I mean, at this point in your life, especially mid-career, halftime, are you going to spend your time donating your time or to some worthy cause? Are you going to start a nonprofit? Are you going to increase a business? Are you going to start a new business? There's a lot of decisions that you have at this point in your life, and they can all be wonderful and good, but what are you basing those on what you really want?
You know, that leads me to my first question. I had a woman who, actually, she wasn't the first one. I got a lot about this question. And most of them had been semi-retired and weren't sure where they were going to go in life. Like, okay, they love what they did, most of them, but they're semi-retired and they had this certain vision of where they were going to go, but they don't feel as if they have enough money for the plan they had in mind, you know? And they said, ask Deborah, did she get a lot of those people? Because their vision for, you know, retirement or semi-retirement was totally different than it is now. With the money they have saved, they're thinking, holy moly, I guess I have to get back in the workforce. And that really scares the heck out of them.
Yes. I think a lot of people are at that stage, by the way, because our inflation, I mean, I bought chicken the other day. It's tripled. I mean, it's just incredible what's happened in this country. So, I mean, I know there's people all over the world listening too. You're facing the same stuff, exactly the same stuff. So, just dropped my glasses. Hopefully I won't step on them. Okay, so, I knew you'd laugh. But I'm vain.
We don't want purpose here, Deborah. We don't want purpose.
But I think you need to go back to the values. Oh, you've got this great vision, but figure out how to do maybe part of that. That gives you still the real satisfaction of a purpose-driven life. And sometimes we just have to reformat those slightly, because our dreams, I mean, it's like building a house. Okay, when we move in, I want to build a kitchen. I want to do all of this. And, you know, I mean, we waited, I don't know, in the house we're at right now, our backyard was dirt and weeds for a very long, we're on a large piece of property, but it was, I mean, pulling weeds every week. You know, I mean, it was almost 20 years or 18 years before we really were able to develop that. So you have to do things in stages. And I would say, start small, start very small. And if it scares you to actually get back into the workforce, find something that you can do that would be enjoyable, but to where you in your heart can start small. And because I love people that dream big, and I encourage you to dream big, but you've got to break it down in little tiny steps. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're still spinning in that roundabout. You're just right in the middle still. You just can't figure out how to get out. But we have to take little tiny chunks and to be able to, and this is actually when people ask why I've gotten, you know, so many projects done. I mean, I have got, you know, 24 albums. I've got, you know, tons of stuff I've done. I love creating content. I actually do. It's
yes, you do.
Yeah, and the musicals were a bad habit, by the way. They're great musicals, but they're money there. Anyway, but no, they're wonderful. I do promote them. But the reason is you take tiny little steps. And every little time, you know, you're going in the studio, you're doing this work, and there's a little tweak. Well, there's a little take. Well, you can't be in a hurry. You just have to know you have a certain timeline, but that timeline might change, but it's really okay. It's really okay. Longevity right now, we're living longer. So just understand it's a long game, and if God gives you longer life, then be thankful and pursue those dreams. That's what I say.
Well, I'm with you. All right, so here you are. You can see you're very passionate about so many things. But what about the women? I get email questions because they don't want people to see their questions. We'll call them Sally.
Okay.
What about if you're not really that passionate about anything? You know how they talk about what gets you out of bed in the morning. Where do you start there? she says she does have strong values, but she doesn't feel she's as energized as you to do so many things. You know, like, I get that. Like, you can see, you go, oh, I love doing this, I love doing this, I love doing this.
Right.
What if you don't have
Nothing that rocks your boat. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think it's okay not to be totally passionate about something, but I have a feeling as you read, as you interact, there's going to be something that sparks your interest. And sometimes, like swimming, I had a horrible time in swimming lessons, by the way. When I first learned to swim, I was not a strong swimmer at all. It took me 4 times per tadpoles. But the only time was really, really bad. Anyway, but you have to dip your toe in the water. And so if you're not feeling something just right away and you're not, okay, what's going to, but you can't develop a taste for something if you don't like try it or just give it the chance and then move on to something else, you know. But I encourage people, make a list of those things that, you know, it's the Marie Kondo thing. What gives you joy? Okay, so what does give you joy? And what sort of things, I mean, it's a good little principle for a lot of areas. I even read her book on cleaning up my office because I was feeling like such a mess. But it's very important to understand that it might just take a little time to figure out things there that might be a little bit different. You know, you're not feeling like, oh, I don't have this person's energy or this person's drive. And I find I have a drive and an energy, but boy, to finish projects, it just takes full on gut work. It's not like gets me out of bed. Oh, I can't wait to get to that. Okay, do a little bit today, do a little bit today. And then pretty soon you get to the point, then it's more exciting. But then to really finish, it's like running that marathon, like running, you know, I just read, also, I just listened to a great book called Boys in the Boat. And it occurs back in the 1936 Olympics over in Germany. Oh. And these are a rowing team. It's an excellent book, by the way. I read profusely, but when they were training, but boy, to win, I mean, it was such a push then, but it's the training, the part of that training was grueling. I mean, if you listen to that book, it's just really a well-written book. I like well-written books, but it talks about the perseverance that we have to have. And it's really never too late too, when you're thinking, oh my goodness, and I have to go back. You know, it's really never too late. And we all have, you know, what we have, skills, experience, and I'm big on really maximizing those. It takes taking a step back, you know, spending a little time with that journal, spending a little time thinking, and then thinking through all of those little steps of your life and figuring out, okay, so let me find some options and then see what sticks. You know, I mean, that would be my recommendation, because sometimes we beat ourselves up and we just keep saying, oh, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm not there yet, or I don't know, you know, you gotta take some little tests. So.
Yeah, I agree with that, because you're right. Maybe you don't have like, oh my God, I want to do this. But once you start writing down, oh, I do enjoy this, I do enjoy this, I do enjoy this, you're going to find something. If not a bunch of things.
Totally. I mean, you know, with the foods on the table, what are you going to find? You're going to find something.
Yeah.
Especially if it's chocolate.
You're going to find. All right, Deborah, they want to switch gears. They want to know more about what was it like being in the entertainment industry, because they hear so much about how difficult it is and gut-wrenching, and you spent many years there.
I did, and I'm still working. You know, when they call me at Disney, I still do some work for them. They've not been my biggest gig at all. I've done headline entertainment. It is work. There's the 1% of 1% that really work in this field. Part of that is, I mean, I'm trained as a concert pianist. So, I mean, I can talk to you at the same time. I can full conversation. We can do anything I want. Play, you know, I have classically trained as well as an ear. You know, I have an ear. That's a natural thing that's developed, but I've developed it. So part of that is kind of, you know, some of that, and I'm a singer. So I'm a woman I'm a pianist vocalist, and I'm a writer. So those sort of combinations kind of put me above a lot of people. And then being able to, one of my top shows, I mean, I've done a lot of solo shows, the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber, Gershwin, I've done all of that, and playing Rhapsody in Blue, but yet singing The Phantom, I've done that as well. So in those shows, but then I did a dual piano too. We did a double piano. So, and we went on some very large stages, huge stages. I'm not booking those shows anymore, but it's a lot of rehearsal, a whole lot of rehearsal. And I understand what it takes, just, that perfect practice, and it takes over and over and over to be able to really memorize, to be able to have all of the tech stuff done. It was a lot of work, but then it's a lot of fun, when you actually, and people love it and you're bringing joy to people, and that's a lot of fun. But it is, I mean, and you're talking, flying out with props. We did some West Coast things where we had 2 piano shells, grand piano shells, and a trailer. And it was some gut work, to be able to put all of that together. Yeah, a lot of work. But, what really, it's a mindset of just anything that you're going to pursue, anything that you're going to go after is going to take some work. Now, I married a guy that was a professional athlete as well. So he understood entertainment. Yeah. He understood entertainment, and he understood the type of work. And, he didn't have stars in his eyes thinking all of this. I mean, he knew there's gut work behind this. And I knew from his standpoint, he played baseball. I had probably gone to 1 baseball game my whole life before I met him. So I had learned a lot since then. But it's an entertainment field. It's a field of also repetition, perfect practice, and all of that repetition and how you go about that. So part of this is it's any field that you do, and then there's a certain amount of luck. I worked very, very hard at getting the type of engagements and all of this showcased across the country, traveled everywhere. But getting those sort of engagements and being able to figure out how to get them, all of that, and stay working. And so and then raised a family, raised 3 sons. So I chose at some point not to do as much travel and I needed to be around for those boys. And so I tell you what, ball of energy. So I did more teaching, and I have a graduate work. So I went ahead and taught at not only the community college, but the university. And then I did a lot of private instruction, for years. I started teaching very young. So that kind of got me through a lot of things. So there's a lot, and that's where my teacher's heart comes in, and putting on online training and all of that. There's that sort of area of my background that's a passion for me. So and so I don't know if that answers all of the questions, because it looks so glamorous, but I tell you what, when you are loading in equipment and you are full on, I wasn't somebody that was a star Taylor Swift type of way. But I did a lot of engagement. We did some huge, we did some arenas, some concert hall, huge places. Yeah. But yet, we're not like this main star. We were one of the acts put on their program. So, and it was great fun, but it was definitely a lot of work. Yeah. So too.
Well, it sounds to me as if you truly have to be passionate about it, or you would just be miserable, because I know from other people how much work it is to be up there and to make that happen. So you better love it, man. You better love it, because there's going to be good and bad days. So, Deborah, can you tell us what would be one of your favorite shows you've ever done? Like you go, Sandy, this was so much fun. It was a blast. And why?
Wow. That is a great question, because we did these double pianos that were just, they were so much fun. We did this one educational, because we added an educational show to that too. And this was right when Frozen came out. And it was, I think we were in Northern California somewhere, and we had driven out, we had the trailer set, we had all that set up. And so we had a concert hall, I mean, full of kids from all levels, from, you know, all the way through high school. And when I started launching into Frozen, it was like we were rock stars. I still remember, like, they're standing and cheering, and it was like, oh my God, because I was really sick of the song because I had to play it so much at Disney. But it was like, it was just one of those memorable times. And I think, you know, when you're thinking about all the favorites, I just think of, you know, just different, some of the most unique little times that, you know, you just had. And I don't know, you kind of forget about the times that your flight is delayed and that you're sleeping on the airport floor and, you know, those sort of things. Or when half of your band has arrived in the destination and you're still stuck as the, you know, the artist. But that's the sort of, you know, those sort of engagements are, that was kind of a standout just because of the surprise it was of just seeing it. I was thrilled that kids were getting such a thrill out of the actual music. And so, and part of an educational show. It wasn't even the big, you know, other grand show. Yeah, but there's been a lot of just fun times. I don't know. I've just done so many different things. It's hard to. No, it's like people.
I like that.
What's my favorite song?
That's good. I'm good.
I have a favorite song. I can't tell you.
No, but that's all right. I'm sure you had so many, but that one I can just imagine. You're like, okay, I'm going to play Frozen, and then wow,
it was amazing. It was just, and it was really pretty. It was so surprising. It was like, oh.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm looking here. I'm sitting here, like, of everything that you do, and you can see you just love people. You love life. You love what you're doing. You have a full journey. I don't think you'll ever be bored. And you talk about you want to plan out the next 2 to 5 years, right? What does the life look like? So what does the next 2 to 5 years look like for you, Deborah?
Well, yeah, the 2 to 5 years, I'm putting more travel in for my husband and I. So, yeah. So last year we went to South Africa. We did a bike trip this year in Italy, all the way through Florence. We just got back, like, oh, I know, it was wonderful. In fact, I have a grandmother that came from Florence, and so I really wanted to go back there. But that was, you know, boy, about at least a month ago or something like that. I mean, we had 2 weddings this year too. So 2 of our sons getting married. So it's just been a busy year that way, you know, one's across the country and one's up north. So, and then, so I'm what I'm doing right now, which sounds really strange to some people when they're thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to go back and do a job or whatever, because I'm still working. I want to keep working. Yeah. Love my work. Yeah. But I put a lot more of it online, virtually, and to schedule it. I schedule a lot of things to be able to do. And so then I'm planning these trips for, you know, what we have 2 to 5 years. When you we lost both parents, both sides of our parents within 5 years. And so we figure, you know, when you're looking at the train and you're going, oh, okay, so we're next, you know, kind of coming. And then some people go, oh, that's like, oh, I don't want to think that way. But, you know, when you think about this, don't let these years go by without doing some of the things that you absolutely love to do. Yeah. Because I have seen so many people that have told me, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and we're going to do this maybe after we retire, maybe in 5 years, something like that. And then they have a spouse, or something, or a personal issue. All of a sudden, they're testing, like they have a huge health issue, and they are grounded for years. So it's like, redeem the time, put in some of those personal things, especially if you're a mid-career, half-time of life. And I know it costs money, but it doesn't need to cost a lot of money. You can camp, you can do, I grew up camping. In fact, I'm not as keen on doing tent camping these days because I grew up tent camping, but that's a possibility. In fact, at one point,
It
my
is.
husband and I, we were tent camp. We tent camped with our boys growing up. It was great, and we have great memories of that. So we're at a stage now we don't, usually do that. I go for a little bit more, but you can do almost anything and put that on some of those. Make your own little bucket list and
Yeah.
making sure that you're not neglecting your personal dreams there as well as your professional. And I'm big on this, on connecting, and that's, your values should be very similar for both. They should connect, because a lot of people, I'm going to do this in my professional, I'll do this in my, no, they should really, really connect, and you should be able to work around that, especially at mid-career, halftime of life. I think a huge wake-up call came with all of the shutdowns. All of a sudden, people realized, okay, or some of the people that just, they were non-essential. Why am I non-essential? I tell you what, hairdressers are not non-essential. I will just tell you that one. I will just tell you that one. And we all figured out how to get that one done. But it was a real wake-up call, I think, for many, to say the brevity of life. Everybody was scared. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of this. And so I would say those 2 to 5 years, look at those values and reevaluate the values. Go back to them a couple times a year. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with changing those slightly. It's nothing wrong with that. Journal, all of that, but figure out some of those things. It's okay to want certain things for your life, for your family. And, we have grown kids now, but it took a long time, by the way, but they're launched now. And so we have a little more freedom that way. I know there's a lot of listeners who probably still don't, but that's okay too. So that's, people are starting, a couple of our signs, they're starting later. So they're going to, be at a different point. So with their families. So you look to see where you are and, talk those things out and work through those, and don't be in a hurry on it, but don't put them off, all of those off, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So I know big component of your mindset is extremely important with your work, your personal life, your physical well-being. So they would like to know, what do you do to get yourself into that positive, powerful mindset?
Okay.
What's your daily routine?
You're going to love this. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. I was born on a dairy farm, so back in Georgia. And so I always say I get up with the cows. Okay. I get up very early. And so I get up and I work out. I send my body to work out before my mind really shows up. So, but I work out, get that physical thing going. I do a little work at my computer as well, but I get that going and pay attention to nutrition and all of those things. But yet you just have to get the body moving. And I think your question was, how do you get yourself motivated, or how do you
Yeah, what do you do to get in that positive mindset every day? Because I know it's very important to you.
It is. I put my workout clothes out the night before. The less thinking I have to do in the morning, the better. So it's there. So it's like, okay, I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to get ready. And you just kind of plan. And it's not like you're going to wake up with this, oh, it's a wonderful day. Oh, I'm going to do this. No, you get up, you get your stuff on, and you just start doing it. And, I do a lot of reading. I do a little journaling. I don't write pages and pages. I write a couple sentences. And it's a really wonderful way to get out some of those feelings and to kind of feel, okay. And eat something nutritious, and just pay attention to all of those things, so you feel like you're doing what you need to do physically and with your nutrition too. So I think all of that works together for you, and it's going to make you feel better to be able to have a mindset that's able to meet a new day, because every day is not going to be this big, joyous, wonderful, you're going to wake up and you're going, oh, I feel like I have a cold or I've had allergy. You know, so little things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But you can still, you know, kind of look and see where you're at. And I'm big on, you know, my scheduling too. I write down the night before. I always said, my dad taught me that a bit, you know, get your tools ready the night before. Because
Oh, I like that.
yeah, he was a fireman, fire captain, but he also built some buildings in construction. So if you didn't have those tools ready in your truck pack the night before and you show up without the tools, the workers sit around. So he doesn't want to, and oh boy, he was from Georgia. He did not want to waste any time, any money, and he went through the Depression. So yeah, you make sure that you have all of that ready the night before, and it makes it at least easier. And for people that say, oh, I'm not a morning person, you don't have to be a morning person, but just have your stuff ready enough so you feel like you can get a little bit of a jump. And I'm big on working out. I mean, you just have to, you don't have to work out hard, but you need to get that heart rate up, and physically you got to move. You just have to move. The older you get, you cannot quit. You've got to keep moving. And that's right up your alley. That's right up your alley, Sandy.
I didn't plan it, but I made you believe that. All right, we have to wrap up, but I want you to tell them before we go about your show that you have.
I have a show. My podcast is Women at Halftime, and it's not just for women, but it was easier to brand that way, actually. But Women at Halftime, people get it.
Yeah.
And so we talk about, my husband comes on with me once a month, which is a kick. So you can get there, womenathalftime.com. And because we have a lot to say after, you know, we have pretty much a conversation. We do video and audio. Yeah. And so, but yeah, it's great. I've really, really enjoyed it. It's a platform that it gives you a platform, and it gives you another place to, you know, be able to do that. So that's the show. I have weekly articles that I put out with those shows as well. So those are, you can access those. You know, I know it's another email list, but I don't spam you. It comes, you can get there, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. It's easy to get there, but yeah, that comes out every week with the podcast as well. Hopefully that answered your question.
It does. All right, before we go, tell us other ways they can find you and reach you besides the podcast.
Besides the podcast, I have 3 active websites. People love the music. I tell you what, that's my longest running one because I've been in music so long. But you can get there from DJ Works Music, and that's all connected. DJ Works, like a DJ. And then I have, of course, my Deborah Johnson speaker.com, and then my goalsforyourlife.com. Goalsforyourlife.com I've had going to, that has more of the online courses. It's got, you know, a lot of different free things that I put all the way through there. And so you can get there through that. And then I have my biggest course is called Hero Mountain Summit. And you can get there. I only open it up for individuals twice a year because it's dripped content. It's 60 sessions long, 60s, but it's amazing. HeroMountainSummit.com. At least you can check it out. You can start it free. Any of my online courses, you can always start free. But yeah, I've loved putting those up because I really help people. And if you're consistent, a lot of people don't start them, but especially a lot of people don't finish them. So I wanted to give a guided path that people would actually finish a course, because if they finish the course, their life will change.
Yeah. Deborah, oh my goodness. I knew you would be awesome to talk about your journey. And I knew you do a lot, but man, oh man, I had no idea. I love this. I love so much to offer. And I love that you love it. I mean, you could see it in every ounce of your being. You want to just share as much as possible.
Yep. I love being able to, well, you know, people are surprised because I've been an entertainer. I'm an introvert. I am not an extrovert. I think you were a lot more of an extrovert than I am. But maybe. I'm an intentional extrovert, because when I can get on the stage, or if I can, you know, whatever, I'm intentional in front of a camera, anything. But I like my work. I like to be able to control my work and my spaces of work. And then just, focus. But then, boy, I love being outside too. That's why I like having a home office. And I'm out, we're on 1.25 acres. I'm out trimming my trees. I'm out trimming because it's a total diversion. So you need stuff like that in your life to keep you balanced. And that really helps me.
Yeah, and you make it work for you with who you are, which is amazing. All right, Mike, hey, I got something to say. People, don't worry if you missed part of it. When we're done, I'm going to push record, and we'll put it on every single platform. And Deborah and I would really appreciate you sharing, rating it, liking it, to inspire as many people as possible. And you know what I'm going to say? Until next time, toodles. Bye, Deborah.
Bye. This was fun. Thanks.
You're welcome. It's like saying, no, you got to stay on longer. It won't let me.
But